Welcome back to a brand new box office breakdown show here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. Today we're going to break down this past weekend's box office domestically, which was April the 21st to the 23rd, as well as we're going to break down the overall domestic and worldwide charts of the whole year so far, and also looking ahead to the final box office weekend of the month of April. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do this show every single week, including other movie reviews every week, TV show reviews, and movie rankings. So please subscribe and ring that bell. We're almost at 150 subscribers. I think we're 3 away. Let's get us to 150 subscribers. Comment down below, what did you see in theaters this past weekend? What are you going to see this upcoming weekend? What are your thoughts on the winners of the box office so far this year and the big losers at the box office this year? Let me know your thoughts on that. And also, please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button helps the algorithm out, so more people can check out my videos. So if you're going to click away in a minute or two, just please hit that like button. That really helps support the channel. As I said, we got a long video, so let's get into this past domestic weekend, as I said, which is April the 21st to April the 23rd. And still in first place for its third consecutive weekend is the Super Mario Bros. Movie from Universal and Illumination, getting another $59.9 million domestically, only a 35% drop. It only lost 21 theaters this past weekend, and now it's up to 436 million domestic. Just monster numbers for Super Mario Bros. And the reason why is that there just was no competition in the month of March that could even, in the month of April, that could even come close to challenging Super Mario Bros. A lot of this is usually the month that's kind of the last kind of whatever month before we get, because really the summer movie season starts first week of May. So that's why we see, haven't seen a lot of movies come out big since Super Mario Bros. But again, it's dropping off at a great rate. It only dropped 37, or I forgot the opening drop. It wasn't a huge drop in its second weekend. This is even a better drop. 35% for a third weekend is sensational with these type of numbers. Illumination is a big winner. Nintendo's a big winner. We'll talk about how Super Mario Brothers could be even a bigger winner after this upcoming weekend internationally. That's for the worldwide charts. In second place, the big opening of this past weekend was Warner Brothers Discovery's Evil Dead Rise, making $24.5 million in its opening weekend. A big win for this franchise and for Warner Brothers Discovery, which is in need of a win following the really bad numbers from even from like Don't Worry, Darling towards the end of last year, and already Shazam! Fury of the Gods this year. They get a big win with Evil Dead Rise. The budget was around $19 million for this movie, so it just needs even like $38 million just to break even. Its totality at the box office. So really good numbers for Evil Dead Rise, and knocked off both The Pope's Exorcist and even Renfield, two kind of horror films out of the top 5 this weekend. The Rotten Tomatoes score has been really good, and the audience score from CinemaScore and Rotten Tomatoes have been excellent. So we'll see if there is repeat viewing for this movie, with, again, not a lot of horror films now hitting theaters for a while, but most horror films take a pretty big dip in its second weekend. So we'll watch Evil Dead's numbers moving forward. In third place, another new release of the weekend, but again, other than these first two films, huge drop-offs here. In third place is The Covenant from Guy Ritchie, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Gets $6.3 million this past weekend. This is from MGM. Guy Ritchie with like 2 films in like 2 months. Operation Fortune, which was more of a bigger deal internationally than it was here domestically, is having some success digitally. This movie is doing pretty solid, especially with the movies that, this and Evil Dead Rising, and Evil Dead Rising. They also have Beau is Afraid and Chevalier, which all opened as well this weekend. But The Covenant doing very well. Again, also audience scores, Rotten Tomatoes scores, people who are seeing this movie like the movie, which I think means this film will probably find a good home as well on digital. In fourth place this weekend, that was from MGM. From Lionsgate is John Wick Chapter 4 in its 5th weekend. Still in the top 5, another $5.8 million, only a 27% drop in its 5th weekend. It's up to 168.9 domestic. So again, it will be soon to be a franchise best, but again, these are not spectacular numbers for an action franchise. And I think because it released in such a competitive month, The rewatchability of this movie also being nearly 3 hours long, I think also affected this movie for rewatchability in the movie theater. And in fifth place, getting back into the top 5 is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves from Paramount. $5.5 million in its fourth weekend, 27% drop. It's now to 82.2 million domestic. Even though it left the top 5 last weekend's back in, these are really bad numbers for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, especially for supposed to be a Kickstarter for a new franchise for Paramount. Especially it's a fantasy sci-fi type of franchise, but the budget was nearly $150 million is what is being reported. So if that is actually the case, even without ads, it would need at least $300 million worldwide just to break even. And it is not on track. So this seems to be a big loser for Paramount, who's been one of the hotter movie studios over the last 2 years. And Dungeons and Dragons just could not keep up. Again, this came out the last week of March. And Super Mario Brothers really dominated and took Dungeons and Dragons completely out of the conversation after its opening weekend. So just shows you the power that Super Mario Bros. Have. When we look at the overall domestic numbers, as I said, Super Mario Brothers still the biggest movie of the year. US 430, also domestic is US and Canada. 439.5 for Super Mario. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, $212.9 million in its totality. We'll see how Guardians of the Galaxy does. That comes out not this weekend, but the following weekend, as Marvel tries to get back on the tracks at the box office. John Wick Chapter 4, as I said, 169.4. It's up to number 3. Creed 3 is at number 4 at 155. Scream 6 is at 108. So those are 5 different studios that rank are the 5 $100 million movies of the year. Universal for Super Mario, Disney for Ant-Man, Lionsgate for John Wick, United Artists for Creed 3, and Paramount for Scream. So very interesting there. Wrapping up the top 5 that are not $100 million films, Megan is at 6, Dungeons and Dragons is at 7, Cocaine Bear at 8, A Man Called Otto at 9, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods at 10. When we get to the overall worldwide numbers, that's where Super Mario Brothers is continuing to dominate. 881 million worldwide, 439 domestic, 441 international, literally a 50-50 basically square right now at the box office. And it's going to be a way bigger international wise, as this weekend, Super Mario Brothers is finally hitting Japan this upcoming weekend, which is the home of Nintendo. It's usually big numbers for domestic films are usually around $100 to $200 million. And for Japanese exclusive films, they're usually like $300, $400 million. So there could be hundreds of millions of dollars on the table still for Super Mario Brothers internationally in Japan this weekend. It's supposed to be a holiday week. So we'll see if Super Mario Brothers does put up those monster numbers that I think a lot of us expected to do in Japan, which means this upcoming weekend, by the time I talk to you next week, this could be our first billion-dollar movie of 2023. Just sensational stuff for Super Mario Brothers. And obviously we have weeks and weeks to continue to track it as this movie continues to dominate at the box office. 2 Chinese films are the 2 and 3 spots. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is at number 4 worldwide at 465 worldwide. John Wick Chapter 4 is a number 5 at 361 worldwide. Creed 3 is a number 6 worldwide at $272 million. A Chinese film is at number 7. And then Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, 178.4. As I said, it needs at least like $300 million just to break even. And it will definitely not get to that point. So it's going to be a big loser for Paramount. It's at number 8, though. Scream 6 is at number 9. That's a big win for Paramount. Getting another 168.9. Not a bad budget. That movie will make it up just like it did last year. And then a Chinese film is at number 10. So now we're heading into a pretty much of a lull at the box office as everyone is starting to get ready, not just for the summer season, but also Guardians of the Galaxy kicking off the summer movie season. So not tons of big movies hitting theaters this upcoming weekend. Sisu, which is a different version of, I guess, like the German or whatever version of John Wick from Lionsgate. that'll be coming out. In limited releases, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which is based off the Judy Blume book. That's also hitting limited theaters this upcoming weekend. Also is Polite Society, which did well in Sundance, and the big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champion of the world, the George Foreman biopic. That's also hitting theaters this weekend. So we're in our last lull. We'll break down those movies hitting the theaters this upcoming weekend. How does Super Mario and Evil Dead continue to do at the box office? More videos are coming soon this weekend. I'm finally going to get to my Mandalorian season finale spoiler review on the channel, as well as a Beef review on Netflix. I'll do a non-spoiler review and a spoiler review for Beef this week, as we have no really big movies hitting theaters, so I won't have any basically new movie reviews, but I'll be back here on Monday with another box office breakdown. So thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys.